Welcome to the Trails Committee, June 29th. We are calling the meeting to order at 7:34. We'll do a roll call vote. When I call your name, let me know you're here. Satyendra Sharma.
Here.
Will Warren.
Here.
Thomas McCoolier.
Here.
Catherine McKee here. Okay. All right, first order of business. Minutes from 5:23. Do you want me to pull them up since I did send them a little bit later than usual to have anyone look at them?
No, I took a look at them.
Thank you, Sati, for preparing those. So if there are no edits or discussion, can someone please make a motion to approve minutes from May 23rd, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
Great, thank you. And when I call your name, let me know you approve. Will Warren,
Yay.
Tom McCoolier,
Yes.
Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
Kat McKee. Great, thank you all. Got the best news ever. We can finally take the MOA off of our agenda for the first time in over a year. We have it signed by the select board. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you for everyone's patience, but yeah, so after our last meeting, DCR, we met with DCR and the town council, Liz, from the Jay Tallerman's office, and it went very well. And note to self in the future, we're not going to go back and forth on edits anymore. We're just going to schedule a meeting after the first round of red lines. It's just more efficient, and we could have resolved this a little bit sooner, but we did have that issue of working with the other organizations on theirs and the delay and seeing if we could use that volunteer agreement. So we did our due diligence there, but in the future we won't be passing red lines back and forth, because that was such a more efficient conversation. It really was. So that's good news. And our next, that means we have all of our master agreements in place. MWA is current and DCR is current. So the next step is to do a work plan for DCR. So we can work on that in July and August. I indicated to them that we'd be next drafting that. That will include phase 1 and phase 2 work and all of our general maintenance and the mowing schedule and that type of stuff for the trails under DCR purview. Any questions or thoughts on that? And Sati, can you make note that Sam Stivers is a visitor?
Yeah.
Welcome, Sam. Let us know if you have any questions. Okay, so next up, more good news, people. Phase 1 Peninsula Trail, the fence is up. So let me just see. I know that Any Fence posted a picture. I swung by last Friday and they started last week. Let me just see if I can find the post. Yep. Okay, great. Let's share screens. Hold on. Okay. So you guys seeing this nice fence?
Nice big fence.
Yeah.
So sure.
And yeah, so it looks good. And I want to do a big shout out to DPW, because we got kind of an SOS call from Any Fence saying that, you know, they needed the brush cut back there. I reached out to you guys to see if we could figure that out last week, and DPW saved the day and went back and cut that back for them to be able to do the work. So that we were very grateful to them for that. So I don't have pictures here of the gate. And I don't know, Sati, are you around in the next couple of days to
Yes,
take a little walk down there and see if you see that
Yep.
gate? Yeah, that'd be great if you don't mind. I might try to do it tomorrow afternoon. It just depends on.
Has DPW looked at this since it was put up?
DPW wouldn't have, it's not really their thing to look at, but MWA, if you're thinking they should be looking at it, I'm going to reach out to Eben Nash, who is the operations manager for MWA, and make sure they are comfortable and good to go.
Okay, I mean, this is what we spec, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
In terms of distance and entrances and all that stuff.
Yep, it's two entrances. One is to the right in front of the steps, and there's another one over here. If you see my arrow pointing, because that's next to the manhole, so they have two gates. It's 8 feet tall.
I take it there are no locks on this yet.
Oh, I don't, yeah, I don't think any fence would not have locked it, but
Right.
yeah, MWA will take care of that.
Okay.
So that's exciting. And so if the gate has gone up, which I hope, our next step in this project would be to put up the handicap signs for the parking. So we need to figure out what size signs, the post, and where we're putting them, and
Do we need to put down any gravel on the handicap spots?
you should see it. It's nice and gravelled, and they did stone dust. It's like, so it's very flat and hard, the
Cool.
surface.
Good.
So it looks great, and very happy. And they are both sides of the road, so you can turn around. And I just think we have to figure out how we're directing people to park to make sure that one spot's for the van, and that the van has plenty of clearance if a wheelchair were getting out, to empty that and not be interrupted by another car. We
Well,
do.
there are handicap signs that say van
Okay.
on them. So, I mean, that would be one thing we could use.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. So, yeah, so that's good news. And then once we get the gate and we know that's up, then we'll need to process the invoice and submit the in-kind support. So this will be a tricky way of, the documentation's a little tricky because we have to submit payroll records for the hours that DPW spent on the project, material costs and stuff, and we want them to add up to our in-kind contributions. So the tricky thing is balancing all of that those numbers, making sure that if DPW's in-kind support came in less than what they had anticipated, where do we make up that additional in-kind support in our contribution as a Trails Committee, either through our ARPA money or CPA money. So
We don't have to reimburse DPW though, right?
No, they did that, and the labor and their material costs will be counted as a in-kind support towards the Mass Trails grant.
Okay.
They paid for it out of their budget, and we count it towards the match. So big shout out again to them. But yeah, so that's great news. And so next, aside from the ADA parking signs, and we'll post a little thing about this on Facebook, I want the gate to be up too. And then we'll have to work out a schedule of unlocking the other gate, and see if DCR is going to have the staff and manpower to do that, or do they need help doing that? That kind of thing, because we want to make sure it's open for people to use, right? And then, I think we'll want to get the word out in some way to people who have mobility issues, and making sure we're reaching the right population and that they know this trail is here in Southborough and we can celebrate. I'm very excited. It is the first ADA compliant section of trail in Southborough.
Good.
That's a huge success.
We should get it listed on the wheelchair accessible trails.
Okay, and actually, speaking of wheelchair accessibility, there was a webinar that Will and I had signed up for in June, or whenever it was, it got rescheduled. So you attended it today? And
Yes, I did. And they said that there will be a recording that will be made available. So when I get that email, I will send it to everybody. It was a good a good session, and they referred to a number of resources that we might want to refer people to.
great. We can put those resources on our website that we need to reorient, because we don't know what it looks like anymore or where anything is. But that's
Now,
so you'll circulate that, and that's great, that a great resource to have for information. So I appreciate you attending. Okay, we do need to focus on interpretive signs for the Peninsula Trail. We also have the interpretive sign for the Choate Fund 2022 grant. Now, Isabella can't be here today, and she was going to do something with oak trees, if you remember. But we
Mhm.
wanted to, so I don't know if that's the subject we still want, but we need to get on it. So I don't know if anyone has any bandwidth. Mine's a little light these days, availability. But I know Sati, you were perhaps, not to put you on the spot. It's okay if we haven't made progress, but you had picked up some history information and you were.
Yeah, I did. But there is not, besides those documents that I shared last time, Southborough narrative, and there's one on our historical society website, the grist mill and all.
Yeah,
So besides that, I couldn't come across many historical documents, but I'll keep on doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll come up with more of that information. There should be something.
so I think it might be time to, so if we, let's focus on the Peninsula Trail, because we've got two sections that we have to put, one from the Choate Fund Grant 2022, we said we'd put up an interpretive sign somewhere outside of Peninsula Trail, so we have to talk about that separate, but we have about $12,000. I'll look at the budget again for signs, right? And we're doing the double post pedestal signs, so they're really nice signs. And we received quotes from vendors. We need to get two new quotes from two new vendors, but we have one vendor that has been consistently following up with us, Fossil Industries. I think they did the Marathon Park in Ashland. They were also recommended by the sign guy that we've used for the either the town forest sign and some of the Southborough Trail signs that he did for the kiosks. So 2 times they got recommended. So that we do need to follow through with the other quotes, but I think that vendor came in very competitive. They're in New York and very good reputation. So we need to think content, right? And I think it might be time to reach out to Andy Leahy, who is the history buff, who does the history walks for us, and see what kind of information he wants to share. And we go through we've done the walk several times, so some of us are familiar with some of the things, like we might want to highlight, like the road that comes to East Main that continues on, or I'm particularly interested in, I wonder if others would be too, is highlighting what it was like for people who, what they had to do to build the reservoir. They had to take houses, they had to flatten it, they had to carve it out, and like, what was that construction like? Something that highlights how the reservoir was built and when it was built and why it was built. So I don't know if you guys have any ideas. So that's just one of several signs that we can.
I can take a look at those.
Mhm. Yeah, and Andy would be a great resource, right? And we can also hit him up and go ahead and start scheduling. Do we want to try to do a Heritage Day history walk like we did last year? Another one on the Heritage Day weekend, Columbus Day weekend, and Indigenous People Day weekend. Both
Yeah, I mean, that was a big hit last year.
was.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm not going to guarantee it's going to be a big hit this year, because apparently people don't do nature walks anymore. Not in Southborough for us. So,
Why do you say that?
because we've had several cancellations and our yoga and trails canceled, and nobody signed up for the nature walks on May 13th. And things are different now after COVID. People are venturing out and about.
Yeah, but people went last year on that walk, right?
They did. We had almost 60 people. It was the most we've ever had.
I
But
know.
Up to show, we have ADA parking and we have the new fence, which isn't really that exciting, but that's fine. We can maybe have a interpretive sign installed by then. That'd be fun, right? So there's that. So we need to kind of, at our next meeting, come up with some solid ideas, having spoken to Andy, and go from there. I did reach out to DCR and ask, now that we have the MOA in place and we can, I asked if we could put a few benches around, and I got a thumbs up.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Cool. But these would be in the ground invasive, in other
I said
words,
we're not going to be installing them in cement.
and we're not going to bury a pipe into the ground or anything.
Well, I mean, there are things called ground anchors that we can use to help stabilize the bench. And so Kelly did say, you might want to consider how you're going to prevent people from throwing it in the Sudbury Reservoir. Okay.
No, I'm still offering my bench, and I figure we could glue the top to the bottoms. That's going to make it too heavy to pick up.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to share my screen real quick on a bench. So we talked about some stone benches, which I think is good. Are you guys seeing my screen now? Oh, okay, there.
Yes.
Anchors. So these
the-
aren't necessarily going to prevent a thief from taking it, but it does stabilize the bench so you won't fall over. If the ground is slightly uneven, it will stabilize it. It might make it harder for a thief to steal it. It doesn't mean that they can't unscrew some of these, but I mean, you
But
gotta
what-
at some point realize that they're either gonna do that or not. I don't know, right? Like.
Agreed. You can only,
But you sort of can't in some cases.
I
So,
think at the minimum, we should do those brackets.
I'm sorry, Tom, the
I,
minimum.
I like doing those brackets, like I said.
Yeah.
The juvenile
well-
delinquents are not gonna be having a screwdriver in that so they can unscrew it to pick it up to throw it in the reservoir.
They go through all that work. I almost want them to take it.
Yeah, I agree.
So the other thing is, I did ask if we could put a bench along the ADA section of trail, because that's an important factor when you do have mobility issues to have rest spots, right? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we had budgeted some money for an ADA consultant to come out. Now that we have the ADA parking, it might be time to get him out here and say, this is what we have, what do we need to do to kind of improve it here? And we can talk with him about some signage stuff and bring that all into place. So this bench, for example, is a recycled plastic. So we talked about using stone. I did float the idea, Sati, the 9/11 loop. I think some of us have been out there, and there's a really good opportunity to put a bench out there. Like there's some really nice spots to overlook, right? So that could be a stone bridge, or I don't know if there's one over the other that's more stable for ADA, if it needs it back, that might be. So
9/11 is not gonna be an ADA trail.
no, at 9/11 is not ADA, no. But what I was saying related to the benches, talking to the consultant and understanding what kind of bench is preferred on an ADA section of trail, so that we're putting the right thing. Does it need it back? Is that the kind of thing to be thinking about?
I think it's a good idea. And you'll just give us recommendations. I mean,
Sorry,
just tell us these are the ones that are most popular.
can you say that again? I can't really hear you. Break up a
Oh,
little.
I'm sorry. I'm like, let's just bring that ADA consultant, like you said, and just have him give us recommendations. Because they know better. They've seen it many times.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll schedule something with the ADA person. And then we'll figure this out. And the benches, so we had one with the Choate Fund grant, and we had one with one or two, maybe with our ARPA funding. So there could be up to 3. They are it depends on what you get. So you can see like, this one is $265. You can get an anchor set. So then it's $300. But this might not be the only one, we look at, because we were looking at stone bridges before, right? When you start looking at the wire benches, or those benches that you often see on recreational parks and stuff, those can get pretty expensive, like up to $1,000. So I don't know that we really have the budget for something like that. So, yeah, so I guess we've talked a lot about this. Will did some research too. I guess we just kind of need to settle on what we want to do.
For
So,
a bench, right?
and, the ADA piece, we can park that, no pun intended, but until we meet with them. But the others, we can figure out, like next meeting, we'll come back with, okay, this is where we're going to put it, and this is the bench we're going to buy, and then we'll buy it, and we'll go from there. Sound good?
Sounds
Yes.
good.
Yep.
Great.
But
Okay.
these include the shipping, or
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. If we buy local, we can avoid shipping charges, right? And we should try to do that just to support local vendors and shipping charges, because I could imagine them being really expensive, although, you know, you'd be surprised at how many vendors are actually offering free shipping and on very heavy items. So you'll see. But that is a cost consideration. Thank you, Sutton. So for signage and stuff, I think we'll also come back with next meeting and say, I mean, that's going to be, you remember the work session we did for the bid? I'm not proposing we do like 5 straight weeks of that kind of stuff, but it's going to be some intense like work sessions that we're going to need to kind of figure out. And we'll have to do, I'm going to need some help because I don't have a ton of bandwidth either. So starting from an idea with some sketches and some, you know, maybe a layout that's rough, that's not, you know, I think they have design work, graphic designers, so we don't have to be the graphic designers. We can just lay it out in block format and they can make it look pretty for us, something like that.
For the
That
signage,
company- You mean that company in New York has those
Also,
people?
yeah, most of
Okay.
them have, they'll charge you per hour fee, but if you have a not to exceed of some expectation, you know, and we had some of the budget built in for that. Okay, so that's that. Next up is our quotes came in, and so that's why we rescheduled multiple times. Thank you for your patience, but I think it was very worthwhile to stop and reschedule until we got the quotes. So I hate doing that last minute, but it was more important for us to see what we were looking at. So the good news is the quotes came in more reasonable, right? Did everybody get a chance to see quotes number 2 from Par Corporation and Beals and Thomas? I didn't get through reading them all because they all.
No, I didn't either. I just went to the bottom.
I did see.
I have a question about the PAR quote.
Yeah.
On page 3, about the middle of the page, they mention in the order of conditions Holliston, and they talk about culvert replacement.
I did a copy paste wrong job.
Yeah, that's what I mean, that's what I'm thinking. But the other thing, I didn't get through the Beals yet, but I did, you know, the PAR talks about holding bidder conferences and things like that. So
Yeah.
is that part of what we want?
We talked to them about including a line item to help us go through the bidding process.
Okay.
So they would prepare the documents, post the site. And I'd have to look more at the details here, but I see what you're saying with COVID. Yeah, that's kind of weird. We'll have to get that fixed. But yeah, so I think both of the firms will offer bid support, and we might want to consider that. Even just prepare the bid and help us do the site visit. I don't know if we need them to do all the logistics. I don't know how that is split up.
Pear's quote covers both the boardwalk and the bridge, right?
Yep. And I
Okay.
think it's pronounced par. Just I called it pear too, but I think it's par.
Well, I just wanted to point out one thing, and that is that pare, P-A-R-E, in Spanish means stop.
Stop.
Yes, pare.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so and they're comparable, actually not far off from each other, which makes me feel more comfortable that you know, that we're in the right ballpark.
So you know, the par quote dropped like $60,000. I mean, or more. What do you think the primary reason for that was?
From the VHB quote.
Oh yeah, the VHB.
I don't know why it was different, other than VHB had a very high contingency, which Greg did mention that might not be needed, but
Right. Okay.
did he have? Yeah, the design is so high from VHB, so. So
So
what
that's
is the
just-
bottom line on each of these?
that's just the design, right? Nothing to do with the construction. Just the design, no
Yeah,
construction.
and so I've gotten a little bit more information and clearer on what they're designing, because I'm like, what are you designing? It's the footings for the bridge, right? So if the bridge comes prefab, it has its own design specs and stamps and stuff, then the engineering firm that we need the services for will design the footings and where they go for the bridge and the boardwalk. So they bore down into the earth to see if the ground underneath the wetlands will support a boardwalk and the foundation of a boardwalk. The same thing for a bridge. So they need to do that, and they have to get big equipment in to be able to do that or have access, and it's a tricky location. So that's some of the costs, and they're taking the liability for those footings. So that's additional cost. And so the bridge engineers will take the liability of the fiberglass bridge, but the engineering firm who designs the footings and approves that piece takes the liability on that. So it's kind of shared liability, if you will, but that's part of the cost and why it's so expensive.
What happens if they say that it is not feasible to do the?
Oh, is it possible if you come back and say you can't because the geotechnical stuff fails? I guess that's a possibility, yeah. I just
Then, yeah,
reading it, Sati, you take that negativity right out there.
No, I'm just asking.
No, it's a very fair question. I'm just done with the no's.
I think the good news is that PAR said that they won't deal with any oil found on the site. So we might be able to, get some revenue out of this.
They won't deal with any what?
Oil,
Oh, they're not
oil
drilling.
or gas found on the site.
Okay.
All right, that was a joke that went right over.
question for you, Catherine, the engineering stuff, the footings, the location. So basically, does that mean the bridge itself, the kit it will be selected?
Say that one more time.
So will the bridge kit be selected?
As part of the quote?
No, it's part of this whole engineering stuff
Okay.
because
Based on that,
I think what the engineering firm said is we want the contractor to buy the bridge.
oh, I didn't say buy. I said, this is the bridge. These are the engineering footings. You make it. You can only buy this kit and this kit only, period.
Well, we can't, I don't know that we'll dictate you can only buy this kit, but it's
And the engineering plans are gonna be invalid. Every kit's gonna be a little bit
okay,
different.
true. But how did they come up with this based on? They're using
These
a
are my questions.
pre-engineered bridge foundation. They don't have the quote from me. I gave them an example of a website that we were getting stuff from, but they don't know.
All I'm saying is I think we should almost dictate the bridge kit itself to be part of this engineering plan.
So that it's fixed and firm, the idea, so that we know the knowns are known.
Correct, because then whoever's the subcontractor, they buy it, they might get a discount, whatever. They buy it and build it specifically to the bridge design and the engineering footings. Because I'm fearful we're gonna go through the same thing. Well, here's the footings, but which kit? I don't know. There's a dozen kits.
Yeah, well, I understand. That's a really good question. They've done this before, so we should ask that question, how that works. But I'm trying to remember. Let me just think. How did they describe whether, because we had talked about buying the bridge separately, and he said, no, you want the contractor doing all of that, because he could say you're buying the bridge and then it didn't have pieces and then you're responsible.
No, the buying stuff.
I'm working through that in my mind just to understand.
Okay.
So then in order to get this, they used, our estimate, right? Our estimate and a prefab bridge. I mean, I think it's got to be, they have to know, right? They have to know how this works more than
Because
we
if you're building a house, then I need my engineering stamps. It's
I
a
don't
big
know.
difference between a ranch and a colonial.
That's a huge difference, right? We're talking.
I know.
get it. That's like a structure, double structure versus a single structure, and we're talking about. But I hear you. We will ask the question. We'll make sure that I don't know that we can dictate the bridge. We can dictate that they buy a free prefab fiberglass bridge of a certain length with certain specs, but I don't know if we can dictate you have to buy it from this firm like that. I don't know that we can do that, Tom. I
I'm
hear what you're saying. Let's get it as firm and finalized as possible so that there aren't any surprises, but I don't know that we can do that. That's the whole,
then I don't understand what the engineering's gonna do.
it's
If you
supposed,
can't dictate the bridge, how can you engineering?
because you have a sense of what the bridge is gonna be. It's approximately this length. It's gonna be a fiberglass kit bridge. They've worked with these before. They know the industry. They know how this works. And so this is estimate, right? So it doesn't need to be necessarily, I don't even know if contingency is built into here, but it's, you know, they're gonna have a good idea of that bridge kit fitting on these footings, for example. But your point is taken clearly. Like we'll make sure we know that, and they can help. That's why if they help with the bid process, they can help instruct on how best to walk through that issue. So.
Okay,
glad you
like I
brought it
said,
up.
that's my initial concern. I don't want to
Yeah.
go back with the bid and there's like, we don't know which bridge. I
Uh-huh.
think if we make it tighter and tighter, and I think like Tim Davis with the lights, remember he had to go back and have the engineering design, but he did not let the contractors pick which light poles and light fixtures to buy. He dictated the ones that the engineering plans spec for.
If we can do that, and that helps the project become more of a known. I'm just wondering if we pay for the services, the engineering services. And then I guess the money, the bid would be for a general contractor to buy the bridge and install it
Mhm.
with the engineering specs that we provide in our bid. That's what we're paying for.
I just go back to the analogy of a house.
Of what?
I have an architect that designs my house, and then I need an engineer to do my structural engineering. And I give that to a general contractor. They buy the wood, they make it exactly to that specification.
Yeah,
They don't change the wood to be cinder blocks. It's wood.
yeah, I hear you. That's good. Okay, so I'm very pleased with this, what's been returned, and just looking at the, you know, the numbers here, we've got, and Beals and Thomas at 69, and Par at 81. So they're very comparable. Now, who was it that came out to visit? It was Par. Did the site visit with us. Beals and Thomas did a phone call. We did 2 phone calls and 1 site visit, and it was Par that went out there to visit the site. So I don't know how we want to make, like, we will need to talk to Tim Davis, how we want to make a decision, because just reconfirming, engineering services do not require a bid process. We can choose from the quotes the vendor we see fit to choose.
Even if it's over 50,000?
Yes, it's something, yes, it's a special situation with engineering services. I reconfirmed that in a call with
Cool.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. And let me just remember, do both of them have bid prep,
Did what?
like bid support?
I know the Pier did. They actually have a specific line item.
Yeah, they have it, but I didn't read the Beals yet.
Yeah, it has 3. And that might be why, and I think Beals and Thomas, so construction support service,
Yeah, bidding assistance and construction phase services, which I think are both are very important. And like I said, I haven't gone through these 2 documents in great detail.
yeah, I haven't done it in great detail. I'm gonna, oh yeah, so they have biddings that we will, this is Beals and Thomas, yeah, we will assist with preparation, distribution, and project bid documents as appropriate. We'll attend pre-bid meetings to review the project site. If required, we'll answer questions, simply supply additional details, addendum to clarify the site construction work. Nice, okay.
Now, I know the Beals one has construction support, but what about the bidding support?
About the what?
Bid.
Yeah, look what the bid is defined on PDF page 13 under 3.4.1. bidding assistance. It's under construction administration assistance.
Okay, I mean, that's good. That's really good. I like that.
And review submittals. Oh, nice. So, but there is excluded items, which is one is preparation and filing of request for a certificate of compliance. I'll need to understand the permitting side of things. So if these quotes are good for some of the services, but we will be responsible for some of the permitting, we need to understand that piece.
Mhm.
And I need to double check on something that I may have misled us about, which is, remember when our Mass Trails grant got reviewed there is it's MEPA, Massachusetts Environmental Protection, and there was also the archaeological review and one other review that was done. I have been working under the assumption that the entire project was reviewed for those and made sure that the project would not be disruptive to those acts, to make sure it's environmentally, like the Endangered Species Act and the archaeological thing. I wonder now if, because we only had a partial award, was only that, wait a minute, no, they couldn't have known what part of the project. No, I'm correct. They wouldn't have known what part of the project we would have been able to do for 50,000. So they would have had to review the entire project for those things. So never mind. I'm clear. Scratch that. Okay. Just talking extra words. Okay. So next steps with this is I thought I had reached out to CPC. So we need to, now that we have 3 quotes, we can go to CPC and see if this is a project that they would be open to considering, right? And they just had a forum. Did anyone attend Tuesday night's forum?
No.
Yeah, I was out of town.
I was in beautiful Rochester, New York. And the smoke from the fires are real out there.
You were in Rochester, New York?
The smoke and stuff is real.
Was it like cloudy and you couldn't see and the air quality was bad?
Yep, signs everywhere, limit your outdoor activity. You can
Oh,
see
wow.
it. It's almost like the fog coming in. It's just everywhere.
That's awful.
I think we should invade Canada.
We did. It didn't work out.
Yeah, but second time's a charm.
Yeah, I thought I had reached out, but maybe I didn't because I'm not seeing it. Okay, well, there's that. So anyway, we need to see if we can go to CPC and if we can submit a project. I don't know. I didn't hear about the forum until like Friday or something. So I didn't have any time to plan to prepare for that. I didn't know there was an upcoming meeting. So if that was their meeting to introduce projects, we missed it and we need to go on the next meeting. I think they're only meeting one time. Well, I don't even know if they're meeting in July. I think they have some sort of summer hours. So I need to connect offline and see if we can get on their schedule, talk about this as a potential project, see if there is going to be a special town meeting and if that would even be an option. Because ideally, if we can do something like that, I know there's some challenges and some reasons why that might not work, but we don't know yet unless we ask. So we should ask and see if we can. Because if we can get funding in the fall, that would be much better than waiting until fiscal year next year, where we'd be very crunched to have to encumber funds and get everything done in 6 months. So
Agreed.
Get one thing. Is that all for we are not waiting for more quotes. This is it.
I think so. I mean,
If you recall, I was saying that there are some
the schools, yep.
organizations and all those. So I found one that is it's not a college, but communityengineeringcorps.org. I just
Oh, sent it.
they do the non-profit consultancy and all those. I mean, it's not to delay our thing, but just on.
If they can accept liability, great.
I was wondering about that. I remember, thank you for bringing this up, Sati. And I was thinking too, like, how does the liability work if you're doing like either pro bono or low cost work? Like, does that
They do pro bono. They do pro bono.
Yeah, but how do who accepts the liability for it?
That is
We have to reach out right away. Where are they from?
I was just checking. I just found it. I mean, I can do a research on that.
Where are they?
They are US based.
Do you know where
But
they're
where?
located? Sati?
Okay, they are in Denver.
Oh, Denver. Oh, well, wow. Why would they come out?
Travel reimbursement will be high.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Travel reimbursement will be high.
How does it, do they just,
So there's a form that you can.
a form you fill out?
Yeah,
They go all over the country? Oh, across the United States.
yeah.
They may have representatives in the area, local, right? Possible.
Interesting, Sati. Let's look into it.
Yeah. I agree. At
And
least,
Good, I mean, is there professional liability coverage? What's that? Ooh. Ooh. Projects, understand community, identify need within city core area, expertise, water, sanitation, energy, structure, civil works, agriculture, lack of resources to ability to attain technical services. Do we lack resources? That we might fail at that, but I don't know. We're a municipality, maybe. Huh. This is a nice approach. I appreciate that, Sati. So let's connect offline and see what we need to do
Okay.
to reach out, because we have a project overview. Basically, we can repurpose that and say, "Hey, here's what we're looking to
Yeah.
do." And you said there was a form.
Yeah, I saw one. Check. Apply now. There is okay. I'll send you this link. It says apply now. That is something.
Structures, bridges.
so it says identify a need within CE Corp's area of expertise, water, sanitation, energy, structures, civil works, and agriculture.
And
I
under
understand.
structures, it's defined as bridges and buildings,
Okay, all right, good.
structural assessment, roofing, sustainable methods. Okay. Oh, apply now. I see. Okay.
I mean, there is no harm. At least, I mean, they can at the most they can say no. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a simple form. Look, I don't have to do 15 pages of anything. That's great. I love it. Thank you. That's a, ooh, that would be really cool if we could, if
Yeah.
this were something that worked out. Okay. Great. Moving along, what's next? Okay, so that was phase 2. Tote fund grants. So yoga on the trails, we had a session. So I'm trying to remember 523, we had several reschedules, and then we had to cancel for the
Yeah.
rain.
We'll cancel, reschedule.
So then it canceled on 6/3 canceled.
11th. I think you were the walk was on 11th June. I think.
You mean the session, the yoga session was on the 11th?
I think so.
That was a Sunday, correct?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was your Sunday.
Yeah, I went there and
Yes.
yeah, I
Okay.
wasn't really needed. You know, Emma, I mean, Isabella already had it.
Yeah, you were right, Emma.
Emma
Yeah.
had it set. Yeah.
Yeah, she told us that now she can, since she's used to just registering people, and we'll get her the registration list and she can maintain these herself, which is great. And we appreciate that. So we'll let her fly solo. So we had to, I think there was something on the 3rd and the 4th. The 3rd was canceled. Did the 4th go, or was it?
No, that was canceled as well.
So
That
we
whole
can-
weekend.
Day that I was marginal, she canceled it because it was wet.
Yeah. All right. So there's lots of cancellations. This has been a very difficult year for rain, for yoga on the trails, and just disappointing, because every time we cancel, we have to redo dates. We have to get it out there, and we've lost our distribution channel on e-alerts, which saddens me. And I've not been able to figure that out. But someone did come up with a good solution. I forget who it was, but if each of us, right, if we're only allowed to send to a group of people, say 10, 15 people, each of us will divide the distribution list that we have up. We'll have a template. And if you guys are open to it, since we each can only send to a certain number of people before spam is flagged per day. So we'll send out one message per day, each of us, with like a group of 15 or 20. And then we'll get the distribution list we'll contact them, and the template will say, hey, you were on the e-alerts before the new website, and the new website has now changed the distribution list. So if you want to be alerted to news and announcements, these are the 3 steps you have to take. And if you
Yeah.
guys would do that, I can send the template. I can divide the list so that each of us have that. And then I would suggest we send it on like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, avoid Monday and Fridays, just because it's one of those like sending at the right time of the day, right time of the week, getting people's attention versus sending on a Friday before a holiday, you're going to miss people, right? So using some marketing suggestions that they've had are advertising during the week at certain times. So if you're open to that, I'll set you up with the lists, and then we need to send out 15 each day, 3 times a week until we're all done. And we will slowly rebuild our list. It may not be as robust as it was, but we will get some of it back. You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so Emma has proposed new dates. One of them was this Saturday, and I said no, because it's holiday weekend and we don't want to, my concern is I don't want to have more failed sessions. They make me sad. I know it can't be helped sometimes. So the new dates are Sunday, July 30th,
Sunday.
right, at 9 a.m. and Sunday, August 6th at 9 a.m.
Hang on. So.
Those
so
are
if they're-
for,
There'll be a adult yoga, 1 adult yoga, 1 family yoga, I think.
but do we need to send representatives there?
No,
Okay.
so
All right.
it's 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. on Sunday the 30th, right?
July 30th and August 6th Sundays.
Yeah, July 30th and August 6th. Okay.
I was a little hesitant to do anything in July and early August because of vacation schedules, but we'll just have to do it anyway. And then Tim Davis had asked us to do an event in July to celebrate Parks and Rec Month. And I hate to ride the coattails of our existing program, but this does take place in July. And I'm a little hesitant to schedule a nature walk, and I want your opinion after I say this on what you think. I'm a little hesitant to schedule a nature walk in July because we know vacation schedules are heavy. We've sort of already had this conversation where we feel like our programming might be better focused in the spring and the fall. People are backing around and it's hot. People don't like to do stuff when it's really hot outside and there's ticks and that kind of stuff. So if you guys think we should try to schedule a nature walk, we can reach out to the stewardship committee, made a great contact with this Dan Harvey guy. We could try to do that, or we could focus for something, because I think the Choate Fund grant, I talked to Tim Davis, does not need to be fully utilized by July 30th or encumbered. So we have a month or so, we can try to tidy that up in early fall. So that's what I was kind of thinking. And what do you guys think?
Early fall will be good. That way. Early fall will be good. You'll get more attendance.
I'm kind of feeling that too. Yeah. What do you?
I think we should establish either 1 or 2 hikes a year and always have it the same,
Time frame.
there's so many of these things happening with all these different committees. And if we decide, Columbus Day weekend, that's our nature hike, and we have it every year so people can plan on that part of the weekend activities. I think if we just be consistent, I think we'll have a growing following for that.
Yeah. And I think there's only so many, I don't want to be negative when I say this, but there's only so many walks and so many interesting things you can do in a small community that will, maybe each year you get new people because they're new to the community, or maybe they just had older children now that can join them, or something is always going to evolve. So I don't want to be limited in my thinking about that, but I'm a little, shy about scheduling stuff that gets canceled now or not attended for the amount of work that we put into these things. And, we want them to be good programs for the community. We want to meet the needs. If no one's attending them, we're not meeting the needs of the community, in my opinion. So we need to do something different now. So Now I want to be respectful to Tim Davis's request for, doing some kind of walk or something. Do you think it's worthwhile to try to schedule something in July? Or do we feel like the yoga on the trails would be kind of a checkbox? And I don't mean to minimize that, because Tim is very supportive of us and we should be very supportive of his requests of us.
Why do you think Tim was interested in scheduling something in July?
Parks and Rec month, get outside, play.
Oh,
So you can play outside and yoga on the trails too.
is there anything that can we can do in conjunction with rec? Or is it trails or nothing?
Well, he asked us to either lead a hike ourselves or schedule a guided hike.
Hmm. Okay.
I mean, I think if it was good if their email distribution list can bring attendance. If he's gonna advertise it, if there is something for the recreation department, like I said, we could find somebody to lead a hike, but I think he has to bring the attendance.
Yeah, he'll help market it for sure.
I don't think we should be marketing it. I mean,
No, we would market it, but he would use his power.
yes, he has a much better email list than we do.
Well, he's the only one with a list anymore.
True. So I think part of me says July is going to be tough. It's hot. Nobody's going to come. But part of me says, and this is the bigger part of me saying, Tim helps us a lot. If he asks us for a favor, we should do it.
To either blame you guys or have you guys fix me. But yeah, no, I'm with you. The tricky part is, okay, so we got to find someone to do it, and it's got to be later in the month because now we are where we are. And I'm not here the last 3 weekends.
So why don't we do it the 29th? Do we want to just,
Actually,
we have to put something in the sand. I mean,
yeah. Let me just see something real quick, because I might be here on the Sunday, the 23rd, not to make it about me, but I dislike when I can't attend personally, like you do all this work and then you're like, oh, now I'm off doing my own thing. I don't want to be doing my own thing.
One of my thoughts about this trail, and I don't know what recreation is doing. Are they doing anything at 9/11 during this recreation month? Because the reason I'm saying that, we could probably tie in an activity that they're doing, the recreation. If they're doing something at 9/11, we can tie in a hike around the 9/11.
Like what would they do at 9/11? Just play ball?
Play ball, maybe they play pickle.
Maybe we should do something fun. Like maybe we shouldn't do a nature walk. Maybe we should do a scavenger hunt. Ooh. And we hide the stuff and they have to go find it. It's a geocaching opportunity. Ooh.
We could do something, but I would like,
prizes.
They're doing something at a location, I think, because the people are there. And then they could say, oh, let's do this now.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get stuck on like, I hear what you're saying. I like it. But is it too much? Like if the people are there to watch their kids play ball, why are they going to go for a walk or go play in the
After they're done playing ball, and it's like, okay, at 2 to 4, they're doing whatever the rec department, play ball, games, whatever.
Do you think it's too
a
long?
half an hour after that is the trail search scavenger hunt.
I like the scavenger. What do you guys think? I just got excited.
Yeah.
And so we have funding from the Choate Fund grant to purchase binoculars and trail. Binoculars were something we were going to purchase so that we could reuse on nature hikes and get kids excited about looking at birds and stuff. So it wasn't necessarily a giveaway item, but the trail books, the what do I call them? Trail journals were something to give away. So that could be part of the hunt and find piece. This might be fun. And I would go to this. Like if I were an adult, I got excited about it. So I wonder if you know you're going to get something out of it and like you have to go find. Oh, what if? And it also includes like kind of orientation and compass, like, they have to understand coordinates and be able to find you know what I mean? So it's an educational piece for the older kids, right? We could,
You might want to talk to Carl Geyer. He would know better than I, but there's actually a whole geolocation kind of group that we could partner with on this if we're going to get into it.
well, we've got days to do it, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's June 20th.
Like maybe for next year, that might be a good idea, Will.
Okay.
You just do something fast and furious and, we
Actually,
did-
that you mentioned that, and I know this is going off topic. The geocaching, how do you get a location to be a geocache place?
well, I think the way, so I'm not an expert. My husband and I went geocaching because there was a website and you found coordinates. They were listed on a website and then you had to go navigate to those coordinates when you're out on a trail somewhere and do it, right? So I think in this case, I'm not sure.
No, not this case. This is a general question.
Oh.
I'm thinking maybe not this year, maybe next year for the choke grant, if there's a cost associated by creating a geosite location someplace in Southborough.
Wouldn't you want to
you-
create multiples?
Oh, whatever. We don't have to get into detail. I'm just saying, if there's a cost for this, we
Yeah.
apply the cost to the grant and we make geo sites, multiple ones, whatever.
Well,
And
what's the cost associated? Are you asking that question? I'm wondering if, like, to be listed on the website, maybe there's a
And
cost,
you need a location, you need whatever at the location, right?
like a little box that's hidden.
Yeah, you need all that.
Waterproof
That
box.
goes- Yeah. So you said Kyle Geyer,
Carl Geyer. Yeah.
that might be
I'll
stuff.
send
that
him.
you
I'll
want-
send him an email. I was on a hike with him, and we were in the car with someone who was a big geocacher kind of guy.
Yeah.
Carl can maybe remind me of who that was, and then we can get in touch with them and see what the outline looks like.
Yeah, we're not talking about this year. We've got enough on our plate, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying next year's choke grant might be something to use that for versus what we've been doing, benches and stuff.
Yeah, I think they would. They'd like that a lot, actually.
What could we, so do we like the idea? Like we could do some sort of scavenger hunt that's not super complicated and
Yes to the thing for Tim Davis. So say that we come back, we can do a scavenger hunt with some, we'll call them prizes, and let us know what he thinks.
well, okay. It's gonna have to go a little bit like this. Hey, Tim, we got this idea. This is what we're thinking of doing. This is the date we're thinking. You okay with it? And then he says, sure, I'm okay with it. And then we have to go ahead and plan it before our next, we won't have a lot of time. So, does someone want to volunteer? So how is the 23rd acceptable to anybody?
It could be, I mean.
It's
23rd of July.
July.
Yeah,
But-
that'd be a Sunday, right?
Yep, Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm
Looks
suggesting
okay.
early morning, like 9 a.m.
Yep.
Get your start, kickstart the day, 9 a.m., 7:23. Now, I might need some help with registration because I'm gonna be out the week
Well,
before.
why do we have to do registration?
Oh, wait,
You
wait,
show up.
wait, maybe we don't. Let me just think through this. You're
Let's
right.
make it simple.
Uh-oh, oh, I love this. Is a better idea. Okay, so no registration, show up and oh, it's a self-guided like scavenger hunt, right? Like if you find the prize, you find the prize and you get to tell us about it. And how do we know if it's successful? The prizes are gone.
We don't.
They have to post them on Facebook.
Or
Or
they can
you,
just go home and be happy.
maybe they just go
Just
home
go
and be,
home and be happy.
No, or take a selfie and show the thing.
see, if you take a selfie and show that you've made the location, then we send you the prize, which will be the nature guidebook or something.
You make things complicated, because then how are
Or
you
it
gonna
makes it
guys
better, whatever, it's
people?
a perspective thing. But no, I hear you. I do complicate. I do like to overbuild things sometimes. You are correct.
So let's tell Tim Davis we'll do it on that Sunday, the 23rd, 9 a.m. and it's gonna be a scavenger type of hike.
Like a is it gonna be, so scavenger hunt implies we have to come up with clues, which is tricky. Or is this more like, do we provide coordinates, GPS coordinates? And how does that work? Like if we just keep the coordinates, you
Just a couple of quirky clues, 2 clues, 2 locations on the trail, and that's it.
just 2, but
Yes.
it should be more than 2. Because we want more than, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, we want to draw people and
Did
is
we
it
just
more than the
lose
nature
everybody?
book? I like this. This is a great idea. Right? Like, or am I
Did I
just?
just
excited
lose
because
me?
it's my idea? Huh?
No, I can hear you, Will.
Hmm.
I can hear you.
All right. Who wants to
Um,
work on it with me? Do you want to do it,
I'll work it
Because
on.
you keep it
Yeah.
simple with me
Yeah.
and you'll keep me on the right straight and narrow.
So let's, if you don't mind, just email Tim back, say the 23rd, 9 a.m. And we need you to promote it. And then we'll give them guidelines. It's
We'll
going to be a
promote it.
scavenger hunt.
And you know what we could do? Ooh, even better. We can send out our announcement when we send out our template to our distribution list. At the bottom of that email, we'll say, by the way, our next event is da 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 da. And that will be us advertising to our old list and saying, here's how you get new cool things like this. Right? Doesn't that sweeten the deal?
Yeah, I mean, that's extras. I agree with you. We'll do that. That's all extra. Let's do the event and then we self-advertise ourselves. That's the
Yeah.
extra.
Okay, great. Tim will be very happy. I'm happy that you. Okay, good.
So I'll work it with you. We'll have to pick one trail. And then we have to kind of like make some clues on it.
Yeah. Okay.
And
great.
then Sam Stivers is listening. And I just heard him volunteering some funds for the prizes. Did we all hear
So
that?
we have money for the funds, for the prizes from our Choke Fund grant that we said we were going to,
I know.
anyway, so this satisfies that and I'm super happy about that. Okay. So thank you very much. This is great. Okay. So then real quick on number 8, MAPC meeting recap and potential summer.
Oh,
Am I on the right? Yeah. So the MAPC meeting happened on the 22nd at 10 a.m. David Lautzenhauser came out. We met with, it was Freddie Gillespie and we lost Will. And it was Melissa Danza. Tim could not attend and planning could not attend. So it was a good meeting. He just kind of went over again the networks that he's trying to connect, explained what he was trying to do. We gave him an update on our trail and the progress we're making. And we talked about the forum and I asked him, I said, can we postpone doing it in Southborough until maybe next year? And that will give us a better opportunity, more time to really make that trail attractive and worthwhile seeing. Because right now they'll see the ADA park and they'll see a fence and they'll be like, it's a great trail, but you know, if they see signage and maybe the beginning, some construction of the bridge and the boardwalk, then it'll be like, hell yeah, you know. So and so he was open to that. So and that
Can I ask you again? So it was on 6th June?
22, 6/22. Yeah.
Oh,
at
6/22.
Yep.
June 22. And who was the person? David
David Lautzenheiser.
Lawson. Oh,
Yeah, I can actually it's in the minutes. His name
I know.
and his title and such. So yeah. Okay, so that's the update there. And Will was at that meeting, so that was good. And then next is okay, committee business, trails maintenance, trail butters and website. So the trails committee had some money to spend on our budget and it just so happens that we have 3 trees down Partridge Hill. So I reached out to DPW, or first I reached out to Tim Davis to see if we could pay DPW to help us remove those trees, because I don't know if it's in their budget. He said it would be better if we worked with their vendor. So I called DPW to see if I could reach out to J&J, who does the mowing of the trails, to see if they also do tree work, and they do. I asked Will to help coordinate in my absence because I was gone Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So we have hired them to remove the trees on Partridge Hill. So that takes care of our.
What about the 9/11 tree?
That tree's still there.
Could we have J&J take care of that?
we can get a quote to do that with our new fiscal year budget. Yes,
So
because that's a biggie.
that's a biggie.
Yeah, and that's a really important one because that was harder to move around. Although we did the nature hike and we all hopped around it.
I hop around it too and stuff like that.
But yeah, thank you for reminding me. I forgot about that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I also spoke to DPW about the contract. So remember last year we got J&J to quote the to do one extra mow on the aqueduct trail next to the open channel off of Ward Road, and it came in sort of high, but it's an unknown. So basically DPW is going out to contract. They have to go out to bid in October for this mowing contract, right? So Chris Leroy said, go ahead and send me an estimate and what you think the section of trail, and we'll include it in the bid so that, hey, Will, welcome back. We're just talking about the bid with J&J and
That's a very good. So this Mr. Is he the new DPW superintendent?
I don't think he's there yet unless he's July, sometime in July.
So that's very good. So all our trails can be part of the whole DPW mowing.
Well, right, that would be adding the extra remaining trail, correct? Yep. So so that's good news. And so I think they did the work today, right? They did the tree removal today, Will? You're on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute. You're on mute.
They had somebody in the area who could take down the third tree.
Yep.
And so that's why I think they did it today, because they're the guys that they needed were here.
Good.
So, yep, it's done.
Great, thank you. And there's also, Tom reminded me, a big tree on 911 Loop. So we should get a quote for that. 2 big trees for 911 Loop, to get a quote for that as well. And perhaps it may come in at a less amount because we, just spent money with them.
Yeah.
So we'll see. If it's too expensive, then we may just look for volunteers for that and kind of do a divide and conquer. Like we pay for some, we volunteer for some, that kind of thing. Great. So that is that. I feel like there was something else. Oh, yes. So we need to do some trail maintenance. And I think we did something last year, which was really helpful, where we did it on weekday nights instead of weekends, because nobody here, we're all working and we're busy, right? So, but we have to put some tools together first, right? We've got a weed whacker and a brush cutter and some other stuff we've got to put together. And we have to organize our tools too and our shelving, but first we have to do some trail maintenance. So let's get some dates that at least 2 of us at a time can go out we have to first have a work party with the tools, and then we can go out and play in the field. But we got to do it in the next 2 weeks because everything's all grown up and pretty bad, right? And Will, you identified that the footbridge off of Middle Road is really bad, very grown in. Okay.
Yeah, to the west of Middle Road. Yep.
Yeah. And so I'm assuming that around our shed, that little corridor at the cemetery is probably really bad too, unless J&J did the side mow, which I'm not sure they did. But so those are some areas that we need to do. And Isabella was going to go out to Ward Road and do a quick look to see if MWA has mowed that section. I don't know if anyone's going to be around Ward Road. If you are, look.
Not this week. I'll be away this week.
I can check.
So the week after would be better.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Well, don't go in there too far because, ticks. If
Oh, yeah.
it's not, yeah, right now.
So anytime this week, you mean?
Anytime, yeah, this
Okay.
weekend. Yeah, and I'm gonna be around some of this weekend too. So I might try to go out and do some surveying. So we're really good on where we need to
Yeah.
go. So you don't have to say yes to everything, but if you're around, let me know. July 5th after work, like 5:30.
July 5th.
Yep,
I'm on vacation.
What day of the
I'm-
week is that?
it's a Wednesday.
I'm on vacation that week.
Yeah,
Okay,
Wednesdays are bad for me.
bad for Will. Okay. And I don't think Isabella, she's in Canada for a while, or Canada and then Alaska, I think. All right, so that's not good. How about Thursday, the 6th?
That's good.
Thursday for Will. I can make that work. All right. Friday the 7th isn't gonna be a day, no. Okay, Monday the 10th,
What time?
like 5:30.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good. That's good for me
That's
too.
fine, that's fine.
That's good for me.
Oh, Will, Tom, Sati. Okay, so that will be a good day and Kat. Now, Will, how are you? Are you handy in putting tools together? Is that an option that you and I could do, or should we just focus on some cutting?
What kind of tools?
A weed whacker, and we don't need to do the brush cutter right away. We can just do the weed whacker and
Yeah, I'll take a shot at it.
some of that. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
be with you, and if we can
Yeah.
just figure it out together, I think.
I mean, a weed whacker's not that difficult.
Yeah, I think it's just like snapping it together, twisting and turning and figuring out how to put the string on the right way. I always get that backwards.
This has never been assembled kind of thing.
Yeah, brand new out of the box. Yeah.
All right.
All right, so Monday the 10th, we'll all be there at 5:30, and it'll probably be a couple hours. I think we might want to meet at the shed. By then I could have extra set of keys for you, Tom. So we can meet at the shed and even talk a little bit about organization and what we want to see, and maybe kind of plan some of that out, and then disperse to the different places we need to be.
So
Will,
this would
you
be
and I-
5:30.
Yeah, 5:30, and I can pick you up if you want, Will,
Yeah, that'd be great.
on Monday the 10th. So we'll meet at the shed at 5:30, and next Thursday, the 6th, Will, if you can do that, you and I, we can do the cutting along. We can just meet, we'll go to the shed and we'll do both sides of around the cemetery.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
we can just focus on that. Because I think we can just put, oh, the trimmer, ooh, the batteries. Oh, I gotta charge batteries ahead of time. So these are some things I gotta plan out. Okay, good.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, so that's great. So we'll do trail maintenance next week and the week after. And I think those two, like, we'll split up on the 10th and we'll have a better sense of where we need to go. I'm going to suspect that Deerfoot is going to be one of those that usually gets pretty grown in. But now that we all have hedge trimmers, this will be a zip. It'll be really nice.
Now this the 6th will be 5:30 as well.
Yes, does that work?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. All right, so that's good. Let's see. We got website stuff, but I'm still in a denial about what the work that we're gonna have to do on the website, so I'm not gonna think about that for a little while.
Well, if you run across anything that you think is not accessible, let me know, because that's something I'm trying to put together, which is sort of a list of things.
Now, when
that-
you say not accessible, do you mean not ADA compliant or not accessible by my?
Well, not ADA compliant, but it doesn't have to be quite as formal as that. Just if it's exceedingly clumsy or whatever, I want to put together a list.
Okay, sounds good. All right,
Another thing I would say, Kat, is you might want to check and see if the trails minutes have been added to your liking.
I don't wanna. I'm overwhelmed by the whole thing and I just don't know.
Yeah.
What's going on, and everything's confusing about it. Because I haven't had a lot of bandwidth to really focus on it. Let's just
Yeah.
take a look now. Like, I know just 2023 was up there. Have they added any others, or is it?
Well, they were going to add all the way back to 2016. I don't know. I mean, they've ponied up $32,000 to do that. I don't
So-
know what the schedule of that is going to be.
How do you, so I see the trails committee, let me just share. Sorry. All right, everyone should see my screen now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our agenda center. It's got year 23 here.
Does it
right?
have up next to the 2023? Does it have a 2022 or any other numbers?
No, that's what my question was. When do you, is this time? Let's search agendas by time period. Oh, last year, let's see. 2020, all right, let's try search. Oh, search.
I don't think they've put them up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't see anything other than 2023. I don't see a way to go back in time other than this.
Well, what's going to happen is that next to the 2023, there will be another 2022, 2021. And if you click on a year, it will then show you just that year. So supposedly they're going to put them up, but from what you're telling me, they haven't put them
There's
up
nothing, so I just did a search for 2022, any time period.
yet. There may be some, I think there are some committees that they do have 2022 up, but yeah, it's
And I'm not allowed to put anything up there, right, for minutes.
no, I don't believe so. Now, my thought is I just don't understand why this is not an automated process, but that's a different issue.
Yeah, well. Another day I'll worry about this one. So what do we want our next meeting to be? We've got to do lots of work sessions on interpretive signage. We've got, vacations and space and all that and work plans. Where we at?
I don't know. I mean, some Thursday, 3 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Oh, like the 27th?
Yeah, that sounds.
Sure.
That would be after our scavenger hunt pool party.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
27th is what?
The time I get back and the time I leave again.
Thursday.
Thursday, the 27th. Does that work for you, Sati?
Yeah,
Great.
it was too far in the future. So
I know, so
difficult to-
it's the name of the game. And I'll talk to Tim about the engineering services and seeing what we need to do next. If we ever quotes. Do we need to collect any other information, or are we ready to say? Oh, wait, we don't have any money. That's right. Wait a minute. How are we gonna do this? Getting back to the other agenda item. If our money that we have received from ARPA is slotted, for the bridge and the boardwalk, but we need money for engineering services ahead of the bid and hire, we might not be, do we need to go before the select board and ask if we can reappropriate the funds instead of buying the bridge and the boardwalk? to do
We may
engineering
have to do that. Somebody was talking about ARPA funds in a meeting that I was in, and they said that there was $70,000 left. So
not
I mean, if
more money. I'm just asking to reallocate if we can get
okay,
funds, but so
Yeah.
we've got a few things to figure out. I gotta get on CPC and see if we can get on their board because
I think Tim would know that because he had to pay for engineering of the lights before the bid.
yeah, but we got money specific for the boardwalk and bridge, not engineering services, right? So we're
Well,
kind
he got money for lights. He didn't get money for engineering of the lights. So
and then okay, got it. Okay, got it. So yeah, we'll ask some questions and figure some things out and
but reappropriation, I can't imagine that's going to be a big deal simply because,
it's the same
The-
project.
well,
Right.
it's also the requirements are very loosey-goosey, right, in terms of this whole thing.
Well, we want to be, by the book and strict.
I understand, but there's not much of a book on this, on the ARPA
Right,
funds. and how
yep,
you
yeah,
use them.
no, I hear you. I don't know if. Yeah, this is a very complicated project. I knew that going into it, but it's a lot of coordination with different entities trying to figure out the funding sources and stuff. I want to try to avoid a Mass Trails grant if possible. Okay, all right, so 727. Anything else? I think we've covered a lot of good stuff. Thank you for everyone's time and energy, and we're making progress. We've got phase 1 really well underway. And-
What time would the 727 be? 7:30?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good. So, does someone want to adjourn the meeting at 8:52 p.m.? I just made it easy for you.
so moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, and when I call your name, Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
Will Warren,
Yes.
Tom McCoolier,
Yes.
Pat McKee. Yes, great. Good night, everyone, and happy 4th.
Bye-bye.
Happy-
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.